They think, yeah, I want flexibility. That's why I want to be in real estate. And I'm like, well, yes and no.
Yeah, I guess we.
There's an illusion.
Business, understand what it takes to
Uh-huh.
get to that kind of lifestyle. This is really fun. You can be great if you really utilize the time properly.
You can be effective.
You
Yes,
can affect.
I agree.
So, yeah, that's the reason I said, I actually closing the other office over there. So,
Okay, well, you said that you're not really going there and everything, so that makes sense. I'm gonna Tamisha is coming in. Got a lot of people online. That's great. Let me get the screen up here. Okay, I thought I would be in Halloween spirit, even though I'll be in full costume tomorrow. I have to, build up to it.
sure, it's Halloween.
Yeah. It is. And so let me get the training room, get our screen up. Here we go. Yay. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And I'll get the PowerPoint. So Olivia's coming in. Have you on Zoom. Remember, if you can have your cameras on and open. And here's the thing, unless I know you're working or something like that, I expect you all to be participating, even if you're on Zoom. So just don't hesitate to speak up. I don't always see, I'm going to be honest, when I am teaching, I'm going to turn up the volume here. Yeah, there we go. When I am teaching, I don't always see if you raise your hand on Zoom or make a comment in the chat. So I do try to pay attention to that, but I'm just going to be honest that sometimes I miss that. So don't hesitate to just say, hey, and we'll hear you on this end. I don't think you can see my headpiece because it's not oh, here we go. Okay.
Does that light up, Kristen?
No, that's just my hand.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't have a background to it. So it's a spider web and a spider. So yeah, it just looks like a fuzzy something on my head to you all. Oh my. Well, I like to have fun for holidays. So I hope everybody has fun. If you've got littles, then I know you're going to have fun and be worn out. I don't have littles anymore. Well, we do have grandkids, but I still enjoy doing the Halloween everything. Come on in, Thomas. I also have cookies. Let me make sure we have a guest here. Thomas is throwing this on again. Got a lot of people online, and I'll make sure you have the booklet for. Here you go. This is the student guide for today. So we have Thomas joining us. Edgar is here. I have a feeling some other people will come wandering in. But online, we have Anna and Connor and Elena and Ellie and Jaden and Jamian and Lucilia, Olivia and Tamisha. So welcome you all. I want to know, again, we're talking about open houses. We're talking about open houses and how to do them effectively and efficiently. I mean, how do you do them? Why do you do them? Again, we talked about it on Tuesday, but let's do a little review. Why do we do open houses? What is our main purpose for holding property for sale open? Generate leads. That is your main purpose for doing those. While you could maybe have a buyer come in and you could sell that house from that open house, that is a small percentage of the people coming through that door. So always keep in mind about 95% of the people who walk into your open house, this isn't going to be the house for them. So one of the things, and we'll talk about it today, is one of the things is how do you prepare for an open house? And so that before, during, and after, each of those steps are critical to the success of you getting leads that turn into appointments, that turn into business. Because remember, every open house, and we talked about this on Tuesday, and I can't stress it enough because I don't think we have been talking to you all enough about this. Every open house you hold, you should have a goal. What do I want to get out of this open house? I want at least 2 to 3 contacts, leads, and I get their contact information. Right? Because if I walk away with nothing, then. And here in the beginning, be okay that your first couple of open houses, you may not have anything much happen. You should always have people come though. And we're going to dive into that today because there's some things you can do to ensure that you always have turnout of some sort to every single open house you have. Because there are specific reasons that that doesn't happen. And it's usually pretty much the same reasons. So we'll go over those. I'm going to bring up the slides for today's class, and I will share this on Zoom. Comes Jeffrey. Come on in, Jeffrey. Glad you're here. I do have cookies in the back. Please help yourself. I had them for Wednesday Night Warriors. And I think a lot of people had Halloween stuff with kiddos and everything. It's a tough time of year. In the evenings, there's a lot of competition. So let me share screen. We will get going. I do want to tell you while I'm bringing up the share screen, after this class, if you can stay, BrokerBot is going to be doing a class on how to use BrokerBot is our office AI program to assist you, not only with broker questions, easy broker questions. Here's my caveat. BrokerBot does not replace our real live brokers. Our brokers are Linda Woodward and David Conderman. If something is getting ugly, people are crying or yelling, or they're talking about attorneys, you go to the broker immediately. You do not just rely on BrokerBot and think you've got the answer. No, that might give you an indication of some things to ask or know to share with the broker, the real live brokers, but it never, ever, ever replaces the real live brokers. It's a guide and it's an assistant, but it also does more than just compliance questions. It'll actually, I know Wyatt used it to practice scripts. He said, give me some scripts on talking to a buyer. And it was able to, so it's got more functionality than that you can actually use it to help you in assisting your business. I use AI a lot. This is an AI program that does my slides. I plug in all the material and information, and then it makes it all look pretty. And it does it in seconds. These guides, I put in all of the information and it generates this. So because you all are solo practitioners, as real estate agents, you need as much leverage as you can have. And you guys are so fortunate that you've come into a time where you have AI. Now, it's not going to do everything, and you can't just not review or look at what it produces because it's not always right. And I actually many times I'm using 2 different programs to see which one's going to come up with the best result for me, meaning the best end result of a product or a strategy or even pricing. I came up with a really cool prompt to help you explain pricing strategies to a seller. So you do a CMA, and then I have a prompt you can put it through, submit your CMA to AI, give it the long prompt of take this CMA, tell it everything about your subject property, and tell me a pricing strategy, tell me how to explain the pricing strategy, and also give me an amazing marketing plan and timeline on how to market and get this house under contract the fastest. I did that for my husband. My husband's an agent here, I did that to help him with a new listing. And I even said the client is an engineer. Format it in language that would speak to an engineer's brain. He sent it over. He had talked with them. He sent it over. He called them to review it. And the engineer said, it makes sense to me. Let's move forward. Boom. So you guys are so fortunate to have AI, and I'm going to, so the class is at 11 today. It is the company that owns BrokerBot. They're going to then tell you, well, yes, this is great for questions, compliance questions, but there's so much more it can do. You need to learn that because you all need that leverage. There are only 24 hours in a day, and there's only one of you. And Edgar, you and I were talking about being self-employed is lovely and dangerous. And you're only really productive in how you choose to use your time. Because you can be busy and not productive. In this business, you can be busy, but spending time on things that are not dollar productive. And you kind of have to here in the beginning because it's just you. So take advantage of this class at 11. And it will be on the office Facebook page if you're at home or at work, and join us that way. But it is a powerful class, and I'm excited to sit in and hear all the things he's going to share, because I'm literally plugging into AI a lot for a lot of different things. I did it, went on a trip to Australia and New Zealand, and it helped me plan that whole trip. Came up with restaurant suggestions. Instead of me searching and everything, I told it where I was going, where I wanted to go, what my stops were. I told it what kind of experiences I like. I even had it pick out the restaurant for our wedding anniversary, our anniversary dinner while we were in Sydney, or yeah, in Sydney. And it picked out it gave me about 3 choices. So, okay. So make sure you dive into that. Okay, let's go to, is anybody using AI right now? Yeah. Connor, you're using it? Who else on Zoom is using AI?
I use it a lot, just with every little thing. I search a lot of things for it. Definitely use it every day.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, Jeffrey.
I'm actually using it.
And that's okay. That's okay. I mean, it's just like, it's the same. You've got to decide what tools work best for you. But here's what I would say, Jeffrey, I would educate yourself on what's out there in AI so you can know. And at least, even if you choose not to use it, you know what other people are using it for.
It's more just on principle.
No, I get it. I am conflicted. I like writing. I like being creative. I don't want it to take that away. But it also, when I get stumped on something, like I'll be working on something and I'm just stumped. I can't think of one more thing. I'll just literally just put in thoughts into AI and have it feed stuff back to me. How do you use it, Thomas?
We use it at work, so.
Okay.
So run all our programs to that.
The military, yeah. Edgar, how do you use AI?
Well, I mean, it's pretty good when you're in business, wanting to like do time better, to study how to lose time, figure it out, just like use this assistant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I do an estimates and I wanna put a better wording on my quotes,
Yes.
I already have stuff made out on my templates.
Mhm.
I just add it and then create a better looking.
Yeah, a more professional version. That's,
Be taping, attaching, all the stuff, so to make it faster.
yeah, to make it, so like for my husband on his pricing strategy and marketing strategy he was submitting to his client, I just put it in a professional format. And I told it how I wanted it to look, and boom, there it went. So yeah, it can give you some good leverage. Okay, let's first check in, all right? Let me get you the check-in QR code. So if everybody would scan the QR code,
I think there's people in the meeting.
thank you. I appreciate that, Jeffrey. Yes, there are. Let's see who's there. Hold on. Daniel's coming on. Amber's coming on. Okay, good deal. Yeah, I've got everybody. Yep. Anytime you see that, please let me know. Okay, welcome, welcome, everybody. Scan the code, check in, all you have to do. This is just where it says classes, just put in open house. Okay, all right. What helps me is if you all join on time. Because once I get started, sometimes, as you can see, I'm not seeing when you're logging on, so. It's not on purpose, I'm not ignoring you. All right, everybody should be checked in. Let's go to today's content. Let me go back to the screen and it should be right about here. And we talked about, let's talk about some of the myths. We talked about some of them, but let's talk about open houses are only for new agents looking for buyers. Now, experienced agents use open houses to leverage and get business. One of the things that hurts my heart as a coach is when you all schedule open houses and the listing agent says to you, oh, I got an offer, we're not going to do any open houses.
That happened to me.
Okay, so I'll tell you how to make that into lemonade, okay? However, I want you all to think differently when you're a listing agent. You should be saying to your seller in advance, if we have a scheduled open house, if by chance we get an offer before that and we come to terms with it, I want you to still let me hold that open house. And here's why. My job as your agent is this. Hi, Tamisha, how are you? Come on in. I want to try and get a backup offer. My job is to make sure we have insurance. And insurance to me is a backup offer. So that's why I'm going to want to hold this house open so that I can try to get that. Also, as a business owner, you as a listing agent don't want to turn off your opportunity to get leads. Because when you read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book by Gary Keller, when you read that book, or if you've read that book, then you will know he says for every listing you have, it should get you 1 to 2 pieces of business, meaning it's like a magnet. Listings attract buyers and they can attract neighbors who are interested in selling their home. And when you cut off your activity of lead generation of what that listing can provide for you, you've cut off some of your future business. So you're shortchanging yourself, and I'm honest about, I do want to back up off. You know, right now, because buyers are so skittish, they want a perfect house because they're paying top dollar, they're canceling contracts. We're at about an 18 to 25% cancellation rate of deals that are under contract, meaning the first buyers are canceling 18 to 25% of the time. They're canceling that contract and not moving forward usually because of inspections. And you don't want your listing to go back on the open market because you will never get, or very rarely will you get that same price when you go back on the market, because you're tainted goods, even if you're not tainted, because every buyer will say, well, why did that buyer cancel the contract? Why didn't they want the house if it's so great? Does that make sense? So you want a backup offer in place so that if there is a cancellation, then you've got your backup plan. Plan B is in place and you've already negotiated the terms with it. Also, you can use it as leverage if buyer number one starts getting unreasonable in what they're asking for. You can say, hey, we've got a backup offer. They're gonna take the house as is. So after inspections, while your buyer's welcome to ask for things, just know we've got a backup offer. Now, you don't even have to disclose your backup offer. And I wouldn't if it was a higher offer. I actually want to try to get rid of buyer number one. Make sense? So that's why don't cancel open houses, but here's what you don't, listing agents are having that conversation in advance of why we won't cancel. So sellers like, oh, I've got a contract. They think they're done. They think they're good. They don't know something could happen. We do. So we have to remember, our job is to eliminate surprises, as many of them as we can, because we know what can go wrong. That's our job. Here's how, Jeffrey, when you all sign up for an open house and the listing agent says to you, we went under contract. Here's how you can make that into lemonade. Ask them, did you have multiple offers? If they did, then you might even have had your flyer already printed up. I'd run it back through. I would say under contract, buyers still looking in this area. And I would run my flyer back through and I'd have that as a headline on that flyer. And then I would go knock doors with the neighbors and I'd say, you know what? I was gonna hold your neighbor's house open, but it's already under contract. And they got 2 other offers. So that tells me there are buyers who want to live in this area. Who do you know who'd be interested in selling their property? That's actually a more powerful story than you just inviting them to an open house. Does that make sense? So turn it into lemonade because you actually have a better story to tell when it goes under a contract and you have to cancel that open house. Make sense? So again, because I know it's hard to then try to find another open house fast and gear up for it. You don't have to. You've got a great, even if there was only one contract, this house went under contract in 5 days, 3 days. Oh my goodness, this is a hot neighborhood. Who do you know? Because there are other buyers most likely looking in this area too. Who do you know? I never say, are you interested? It puts people on the defense. If you say, are you interested in selling your house? I think you're trying to get them. I think you're trying to steal their house from them. So you don't want to put them on the defense.
Hey, Kristen.
Yes.
Okay, I have a tangential question, and so it has to do with the open houses and everything. But so if we wanted to do something for our clients, like if they weren't really interested in open houses as much as showings, but they're open to like a broker open, is that the right terminology? Or like we put on agent tour, and how do we involve ourselves in the agent, like how do we get there?
Yeah, how do you do a broker tour? So when you have a listing, you can, in MLS, you're going to designate and put on there whether it's on your listing or the listing, it's your listing for broker open. And you're going to designate that it's open on Tuesday from this time to this time. So you're going to list it in MLS. That's how all the agents know that's on broker tour. And then the most powerful thing about broker tour, I mean, a lot of you have gone on broker tour. Does everybody have, do all of the listings have a questionnaire for you to fill out?
Not all of them, but most of them.
Most of them? Good.
Yeah.
All of them should. The reason you're doing that is for feedback. I want feedback that I can then have conversations with my seller, because most likely the feedback that other agents are going to give me is the same feedback I gave them and they didn't listen to me. So I need more voices behind me. Oh, price is too high. Okay, it's not just me saying that we're coming into the market too high. It is seasoned, experienced agents giving me that. Now, when you're new, do you ever feel uncomfortable giving feedback?
Yeah.
Okay, here's what you do. I'm not going to shoot from the hip on pricing because I'm not an expert all over town. None of us are. So I think it's a disservice when an agent doesn't have, do they ever have comps there? Do they ever have comps for you to look at? They should. They should. And you should if you do broker tour, because you want to educate the people, the agents who come in that haven't sold anything in that area, or maybe not in a long time, right? Otherwise, you're asking for their opinion. They're going to feel compelled to give you a price, and they might be just going off the top of their head. I don't want that. That doesn't help me. So Jeffrey, if I go to a broker open and I'm not sure what kind of feedback to give him, I will go to the listing agent and say, what do you need? What would be the most helpful feedback for you? What price would you like to see on this? So I ask them personally, how can I help you? Instead of me thinking I know what I'm talking about. I want to be helpful and not, because I've gotten feedback before on a listing that I know the people didn't know the pricing in that area and that their feedback was not helpful. And I had to share that with my seller and then combat that. Does that make sense? So most listing agents are going to be more than happy to tell you what kind of feedback they would like. Say, I don't know, I haven't sold a house in this area. Tell me, price wise, what are you hoping to hear? Under such and such, they might say, under 350. Okay. So ask for their help. They would love to give you that information. Don't just don't be guessing. That's not so helpful for them, unfortunately. We have a lot of people coming on Zoom.
Kristen, how do we participate in broker tours? Like how do we get ourselves on the list to have a seller's house on a broker tour?
It's through MLS. You're going to schedule it on MLS.
Oh, okay. So it's just that simple.
Yep. It's basically the same way that you do it for open houses.
Okay, cool.
So there's a feature on there when you have a listing that you would be able to schedule an open for it. And you just designate the time and the day. But have a CMA there, have a questionnaire. I have in my Power Tools, I have a broker questionnaire that you can have right there so that you're asking the right questions. Because you want to be able to share that with your seller, okay? Good question, Brittany, or Whitney. My daughter-in-law is Brittany.
No worries.
Okay, I don't have any listings, so I can't hold a house open. Well, you guys know this, or most of you know this. Yes, you can. Again, that's another reason you're at such an advantage being in a larger office that has about 310 agents, is that means we have more listings than most offices. And with more listings, that gives you more opportunities to do open houses. So how do you all mostly find your open houses? Zoomers, share with me. You guys share first. How do you find your open houses?
Facebook group. Yeah, I was gonna say the Facebook group and people that I've already done open houses for.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. How about in here? How do you all find your open houses? Jeffrey, how do you find your open houses?
Facebook.
Okay. You haven't done one yet. Okay. That's okay. It's not ideal. That's okay. That's not ideal. That's what we're going to talk about. Meaning you're just taking whatever comes up, and it may not be in an area that's going to get you good traffic. It might not be in a price point that there are very many buyers in that pool. And that's why some of you are not getting traffic, or you're getting very little. Or it can have bad pictures online. So while it's okay to do those, it is not ideal. It is not ideal. Because then you don't really know what you're going through. So, but most, and we'll talk about how do you shop our office inventory so that you can go out and reach out to listing agents and say, I saw you have a listing over here in Prairie Village. It looks awesome. I'd love to do an open house. Is there an opportunity to do this weekend or next weekend? I used to do it at business meeting. I would look at the listings that were on. And if the listing agent was at business meeting, after the business meeting, I'd beeline to them and I'd say, hey, I saw your new listing. Oh my gosh, can I do an open house? And then to what Claire said, Claire can, because she's done open houses for different agents. And if you do a really great job, they will come back to you when they have an open house opportunity, because they don't want to just, here's where I kind of want to smack some of the experienced agents. And you all might not like me saying this, but it's true. They should check you out before they say, yes, you can do this open house. Personally, I'm gonna be really honest. I'm not gonna let just anybody do my open houses. We're gonna have a conversation. I'm gonna tell you what my expectations are and how it's gonna be done. Because I have to answer to that seller. If you go in and you don't know what you're doing or you do something wrong, it's gonna reflect on me and it's gonna be held to pay for me, not you. I might never ever use you again. Makes sense? So it's nice that it makes it easy for you to grab one, but I'm just saying that I'd want to make sure that, and that I'm assisting you. If I knew, oh, you've only done 2 open houses, great, let me help you. And do you have enough pointer signs? I've got some extra. Do you have this? I mean, that's how I would handle it. And I know that's not always what happens. But if you do a really good job for an agent, there's a good chance you'll be their go-to. And if you're their go-to for holding houses open, you might be also their go-to to help when they're in a pinch and can't let an inspector in or an appraiser in, and they'll pay you, or help show their buyers some houses for them and they'll pay you. Some of our new agents have made some nice extra money doing those services for their agents, but they had to build a relationship with them, and many of them, it was through open houses. You never know what'll come out of that. I'll give you an example. Ashley Hunt, and who's just graduated our program. Ashley, there's an agent here that she has a really good relationship with, and she just gave her a referral of a buyer, and she closed that buyer. So you never know where that relationship's going to take you. You never know. Remember, you cannot do an open house for an agent with another brokerage. Our E&O insurance does not cover that, and thus that's too much of a legal liability for all of us, not just the brokerage, but also for you all. But again, because we have 310 agents, you have good opportunities to have enough inventory all over the Kansas City area to be able to hold open. Open houses. Agents sit on open houses. Some do. Has anybody been to an open house where an agent, remember what I talked about on Tuesday, that they didn't even talk to you, didn't greet you, didn't. How many open houses are you guys visiting? Other people's open house.
On the broker tour.
That's different. That's different. That's a different audience, Jeffrey. That's good. I'm not saying that that's not a valuable experience, but I mean going to someone's open house on the weekend. You all should be visiting other open houses to see what people do. Because you're going to see great things, and you're going to see things that you're like, oh my God, how do they get clients? don't even get up off the sofa. They didn't even greet me.
One time I went to an open house and I had the agent immediately greet me with everything that was wrong with the house.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, okay. Awesome. Yikes.
so you're thinking, that's not what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Wow, wow, okay, wow, yeah, okay, so you're gonna see different things. But that's why I want you visiting them. You'll get good ideas and then you'll get ideas of, okay, never, that's on the never to-do list, ever, ever, ever. So you do an open house to get leads, remember? You're not to be passively just sitting there and house sitting. That's not your job. Your job is to get business, to get leads, or to sell that house. If this is your listing, you want to see if any of these buyers coming in are possibly if this is their house. And then you speak to all of the great benefits of that house. Matter of fact, I remember I had a listing in Lewisburg. Oh, and Lewisburg is kind of a small town. No, not kind of. It's a small town, but close to, Overland Park and bigger towns. And it was my first and only time to have a listing in Lewisburg. And I held this house open. And it was pretty new and the subdivision was all new, meaning there were only a couple of houses and we were one of the first resale houses in this new subdivision. And I was getting no showings. I did a broker tour. I even went to all the small brokerages in Lewisburg and invited them. No one showed. I later heard that they don't like Johnson County agents coming in and that they're very protective of their, and so they weren't going to come to my broker tour and I wasn't getting any showings. So I had an open house. And 2 couples come into that open house and one of them seemed really interested. And I knew because I was competing against new construction, literally on the same block, they could go out my open house and go visit brand new construction where they could pick out their paint color, they could pick out their carpet. And I was a resale and the price points weren't that different. I had to sell why my house was better. Well, I had plantation shutters. That's expensive. When you buy a new house, they don't have curtains. They don't have blinds. They don't have shutters. They don't have anything. You don't have anything on your windows. You got to buy all that. That can be expensive. So I had to think of everything that my sellers had done to this house that would be extra in new construction. And I did. I sold it hard. And those people came back and bought that house. They came back and bought that house. That's all I had was that open house opportunity. So I had to know the benefits and know what's going to differentiate me when I know I've got such tough competition with new construction. Because come on, if you can afford new construction, for a lot of people, they want that brand new, right? It's like the difference between a brand new car and a used car. Some people just always like to get a new car, right? So that's where you're going to engage people and you've got to know, how do I start conversations at an open house? So what questions do you all ask when somebody comes in to an open house? We're going to talk about that. This is a KW agent. I forget where she's from. I want to say Atlanta, but I could be wrong. And she's a builder's wife. So she sits on new construction. Okay. So she has probably, well, I will tell you though, a lot of new construction, they don't do as many spec homes. Does everybody know what a spec home is? Spec home is a model home, meaning a builder will build a couple of homes and furnish them and have them as model homes to show people what the built product looks like. So that someone could walk in a home and say, I want this home built. That's what I want. I want this style home. So they have spec homes. But because spec homes are expensive and lending is expensive and all of that, a lot of builders don't build as many spec homes as they used to. So, but at this, she did have spec homes, so she could hold open houses at those spec homes every weekend. But she would also do during the week. So she did 5 to 6 open houses a week. There's another agent in our office who did that at the beginning of her career. Does anybody know who Hannah Morel is? If you don't, follow her on Instagram. She does great content. Great content. She's the mom real estate agent. She shows the reality of being an agent and being a mom. And she has beautiful videos. But in the beginning, Hannah, when she joined our office, was just brand new in the business, had only been in, she started a different brokerage. They were doing distressed properties, and she's like, oh, this is awful. I don't think this is gonna be for me. She says, but I'm going to give it one more shot, and I'm gonna just focus on open houses. She did 5 a week. 5 a week. That's how she got her business off the ground. So it can be very powerful. It can be very effective. So she did it without fail. She did strategic marketing. Hello, Megan. So she did extensive prospecting and promotion. That's what you have to do. If you want traffic to your open houses, don't wait for just the lucky factor. You have to promote the heck out of it. That means you go share with neighbors that there's going to be an open this weekend. Invite them. Say, I'd love for you to see your neighbor's home. And if you know anyone interested, please send them. Because you never know, they could have family who wants to live close to them. Or they could have a coworker said, I've always wanted to live in that subdivision or in that area. So you invite them, and then you need to not just put it on your social media. Yes, some social media is important, but you've got to blast it to your whole database. And to me, that's a text message or an email or a phone call and saying, hey, I've got an open house. Now you're going to think, but Kristen, they're not interested in buying. Why would I? Half of these people aren't ready to buy or sell right now, because you know what they need to see right now from you? They need to see you being an agent. In order for them to believe it, they've got to see you doing it. Say, hey, I know you're probably not, you guys aren't going to move for a long time. Come see this house. It's got an amazing whatever. I picked something, it's got an amazing kitchen, and I know you like gourmet kitchens. And come by and just say hi. I would love the support. Ask them. If you're out and about, come by and see me. I'll have cookies. I never buy more than like that little bag of cookies back there. Don't get like a whole buffet tray, because it's just going home with you. I want just a little hospitality. Remember, when I first started doing open houses, so I left a corporate job and I worked from, Monday to Friday. And then I realized in real estate, I gotta work some weekends. And I'll never forget, like on my first open house that I did, or one of my family, my kid and my husband say they're gonna go out and fly kites and do all this fun stuff. And I actually had my nose bent out of shape, and I was like, I'm missing that. I don't know if I like this new job. I don't know if I like this new career. I'm missing out. And then I had to frame it in a way, how can I make an open house fun for me? So I love to host parties. I love to host parties. Holidays are my thing. Holidays are my thing. I thought, I've got to make it into a feeling like a party. When someone comes into my open house, I got to have music on. I've got to have a little bit of food. I've got to make them feel so welcome that they come in. They can't, that this is their best open house that they go to today. I want that experience to stick with them. Once I changed my mind, then I got into it and I was like, this is great. And then you get your first client from one and then you're like, yeah, this is even better. You're like, this works. So, but you have to promote it and you have to drive the traffic. Don't wait for the traffic to come to you. Yes, pointer signs are helpful and you can get some traffic off of those. But if that's all you're relying on and that people will see it online, because when you put it into MLS as an open house or the listing agent, oh, another tip. Always double check before your open house that the listing agent has it as an open house on MLS. Because if they forgot, and sometimes they forget, and only they can do that. You won't have access to that. If they didn't, then it's not populating to Zillow, Realtor.com, KW's. It's not, nobody's going to know about it. So you've got to double check and make sure that they did that. Otherwise, you're going to be quiet. MLS. You do it under the tab, you'll see what, under the search tab and just go down.
It's buried in there.
It's down at the bottom and then you bring it up for what date. And then you'll be able to search the open houses. But make sure it's there. Last week, one of our very experienced agents had a lovely home on broker tour. And it was Tuesday and she was here and she was passing out flyers to everyone because guess what? She forgot to put it in MLS until that morning. Oh, jeez. Till late that morning. She said, yeah, it was me. It's me. I forgot. It's gorgeous. Like, oh. So double check. Make sure that's been done. Proven results. It will, open houses can feed you. And it's not the only form of lead generation. I wouldn't just depend on it. You need to diversify in your lead gen, that it can be very effective. Now, it's not going to be a match for all of you. It's not. And it's okay if it's not. It's just one of the reasons in that 5 weeks to success and digital chalk that we want you focusing on to get your business off the ground the fastest. And we talk about doing open houses. The reason we say is we know that that is one of the easiest lead generation activities that can get you in front of potential buyers and sellers. It's one of the easiest. But if you are feeling it is not the match for you, then talk to your coach or talk to me. We'll find something else. But that's the reason we promote it so hot and heavy here in the beginning, is because we've seen the success of it and we know it can be a great vehicle here in the beginning and throughout your whole career. It was the second leading revenue generator for my business. Number 1 was my database. Number 2 was open houses. Number 3 were internet leads off of my listings. Okay. But you have to track your business to know where it comes from. So you know what's feeding you, what's feeding and building your business. So, and this is what I want you to remember. While when we are new or any time in our career, we will take luck. But if you're building your foundation, it's not a foundation. It's a faux foundation on luck and not on preparation and marketing and all of that, then you're not going to probably build a very big business if you're going to build a business at all. You have to put in the work, you have to put in the effort, and you have to have where you're doing, you know what to do and how to do it. And that's what you're learning to do. So takeaways for agents in the growth phase. I shared with you all on Tuesday that one of my growth coaching clients, those are experienced agents that we do business coaching with, and he needs to build his database. He went through a messy divorce. His wife was his real estate partner. And he had to first kind of figure out who was going to gravitate to which one of them out of their database. And now he's kind of figured that out, and his database shrank. Because not everybody went with him or would. And now he's got to rebuild it. He shared with me last week that he added 25 new people to his database through open houses. And while none of them were now business, they are future business. And that's what we all need. We want the now. I get it. I want you to have now business. But not everybody who's going to walk in is going to be ready and able to move forward right away. But you can help you build a relationship with them, and you can help be the one who shows them the path on how to get there. And do you know what? Here's what's so interesting. Most people have the wrong timeline in their head. Most people think it's going to take longer to get their house ready to sell, or take longer to get in a position to buy than it usually does take them. They just don't know what that looks like. And like, they don't have a relationship with a lender, so they don't know, they're worried about their credit score. They don't know what they could do to fix that. And a lot of credit repair can be done in months, not years. And most people think, oh, it's going to take me years, right? Yeah. But without expert assistance, they're not going to know. And so they're just guessing in their head what their timeline is, and it might not be correct. Renters are usually, they usually think they need to go out shopping for a house like a month before they're to move. You want to start them 3 to 4 months. One, you got to get them pre-approved to see if, are we even in a position to do this? And then if you go under contract correctly at the right time frame, then they could actually close on their new house before they have to leave their apartment. Good morning, Angel. So that they're not rushed to move. They could do some work to the new house and what have you, and they won't have a payment on that new home because they already did that when they close. So in that first month that they are there, they wouldn't even have a house payment. So they can have both. They can still be in that apartment for the rest of that month while they're doing the move and getting the new house ready. They don't know that. That's why they need us. So we've got to know the timelines of what it really takes and get them with the right people so we can get them on the right path and get them there really fast. You have to, if you are going to have open houses, one of your main forms of lead generation, then you've got to be consistent. You've got to do them either every weekend, every other weekend. You've got to decide how much business am I wanting to get from open houses. That's why you have to have a goal. Every time you hold an open house open, you've got to say, I am determined to get at least 2 to 3 contacts, leads, that I can put in my database and follow up with and see if we can move forward. So you've got to be consistent and do these. Now, here's my caveat though, because it happened to me. I remember going through a spell. I think it was felt like years, but it was probably just about 3 weeks of open houses. I did back to back to back. And I got traffic, but I wasn't getting really any leads. And I was just feeling like, oh, this isn't working. I had to take a little break to refresh and get in a better headspace because it was feeling like nothing was working. And sometimes it has nothing to do with what you're doing. It's just what's going on. And so I took a little break for about 2 weeks, didn't do any open houses, gave myself some breathing room, came back refreshed and ready to do them. So sometimes on any of these forms of lead generation, you can burn out. So recognize that, because when you're self-employed, you feel like you got to just keep pushing no matter what. And sometimes the pushing will actually have a negative effect, because then you become resentful, or you become angry, or you become fearful because it's not working. Sometimes we need to step back and figure out, do I need to do it differently or do I just need a break and then go do something else productive? Make sense? And then team up. I'm going to highly recommend you all do open houses together. Because if you pick out the right open house, then you should be busy. And if you're busy, it's a blessing and a curse to have an open house that's too busy. Because then you just become a traffic cop. You say, hi, hello, did you sign in? Oh, this is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. You don't get to have conversations on any level with anybody. So even lenders, some lenders will go to open houses with you because they're looking for business too. So it's nice to have someone else there. Also, it keeps your energy up and makes it a little bit more fun, right? And then you have someone to go door knock with when you're inviting the neighbors and you might be thinking, it's raining today. Oh, it's Friday, it's Saturday. I'll go knock on doors. I really don't want to. You've got somebody going with you and they say, hey, I'll meet you there. You're going to show up, right? So sometimes I'm going to tell you, and it's also a safety issue. I'm going to tell you, in this day and age, well, anytime, even when I was doing open houses, my phone never left my hand, ever, ever, ever. I never went upstairs with anyone. I never went in a basement with anyone. I never went in a garage with anyone. And I don't care if you're male or female. I don't care. It can happen to any of us. And please, and I don't say this to scare you, I believe in being cautiously aware, right? Have a heightened awareness of your surroundings and people coming in, and trust your instincts 100%. I only had one open house where I just had a group of people leave. It's funny, I can still see the interior of this house. I can still see the front stoop of this house. I kind of forget the street, but I know the neighborhood. Group left. A guy came in, started to come in the door. He came in. I was right at the front door. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. And I said, I need to make a phone call. I'm going to be out on the front yard. If you need anything, go ahead and tour the house. He was in there less than 2 minutes and came out. I did not feel comfortable. I called the listing agent because it wasn't my listing. And I said, I explained what happened. I said, I'm going to close the open house. I did not feel safe. I would partner with someone in this day and age. I would, either a lender or insurance company, insurance agent, another agent. I want you all to have the problem that 2 of our agents had a couple of years ago. 2 new agents did an open house together. And a family comes through and says, we want to buy this house. And oh, by the way, we have a house to sell. And these 2 agents are talking to this whole family, right? Both of them are. Because usually you say, you take this group, I'll take this. But this couple lingered. You know what the 2 agents did? One was the buyer's agent, one was the listing agent. And they had so much fun and the family loved the experience with them. So that's sometimes what can happen. Usually you just take turns. Hey, it's my turn. I'll greet these people. You greet the next group.
Melissa and I split 4 transactions together.
Oh.
We always did our own.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's how we met Lindsay,
yeah. All those people.
Jen.
Yeah.
So for the contacts that you gave someone else, you guys just split the contacts?
Yeah, whoever you greeted.
Yeah.
Just, and you can put just a little check mark next to them after they leave. That's what yeah,
It's easy to figure out.
yeah. And they did it beautifully. But I love it. Again, it brings more energy, what have you. But always be safe. So let's talk about picking out an open house. Remember, I asked you all and you said most of you are relying on our Facebook page. And what did I say about that? It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Cause you don't know what you're getting. You really don't. I would rather you go into MLS. If you go into MLS, in digital chalk, there is an open house booklet. If you have not read through that in its entirety, then you need to. And on the page 1, it tells you how to go into MLS and search specifically our office inventory. Because you've got to have a certain field that you're going to add to your search, your MLS search. It's list off ID. So for listing office ID, our listing office ID for MLS is 04. That's Keller Williams.
AW0.
Yep. Thank you, KW04. And that's how it will bring, and then you put actives. And it's gonna bring you up every active listing for our office. Then you're gonna go through that and figure out, well, what area of town? You know, don't hold a house open in Gardner. If you live nowhere close to Gardner and you really don't wanna do business in the future there. Why would you, what? Why would you do that? I get it. In the beginning, you're just getting experience. I'm not trying to like make you feel bad, not at all. But to be strategic about it, you need to pick areas that you want to do business in. Price points you want to do business in. There's also under market reports, write this down, under market reports in MLS, it's on the top banner, it's one of the tabs. Go in and click on home sale reports. So go under market reports in MLS. And then you're going to see, I think it's the first little link that says home sales report, home trend sales, something like that. It's the very first blue link there. And then you can go by county and look at what price point has had the most sales. Why do you think I would want you to look at that?
That tells you where all the buyers are.
See where all the buyers are. You're going to see it by price point. It breaks out different price points. And if you see where the majority of the sales are, then you're going to know that's your biggest pool of buyers. In that county, then I should be in the $399 to $425 range. That's where the biggest pool of buyers are, or the next biggest pool. But if there are only 2 sales in that price point, hello? Don't do an open there. Now, here's where I'm going to tell you something, because this happened to me. I'm going to tell you the ideal criteria in picking out an open house. But before I do, I'm going to give you my caveat on this one. If an experienced agent approaches you and says, Thomas, would you do an open house at my new listing? And you don't have anything else scheduled, say yes, even if it's not ideal. Because I want you to build that relationship. Because one time, it was a long time ago, but I had an experienced agent come up to me and say, Kristen, I reached out to a new agent, asked them to do an open at my house, and they said, well, it doesn't fit Kristen's ideal criteria. I was like, oh, sorry.
That's great.
Don't say that. Please. I was like, oh, sorry. Sorry. Here's the ideal criteria. You ideally want something brand new on the market. It's fresh. People are eager to see it. It's new. Or you want something that maybe has been on the market a little bit, but has had a significant price change, like right then. Okay, because with a significant price change, it probably went into a different buyer pool, price point, and it's now in front of new eyes. Make sense? Because remember, buyers only search and buyers agents only shop by area and price point. They're not looking at every listing available in Kansas City. They're looking at a specific price point. And when a property drops out of that range and goes to the next range, then you're in front of new eyes. So if it's new eyes, then it feels fresh to them, right? So I'm okay with that. I ideally want good listing pictures because good listing pictures are gonna draw people in. They're gonna say, oh, that looks great. I'm picky about location. I want locations where traditionally you get really good traffic. Prairie Village is golden. Old Overland Park. It depends on your price range. Areas, certain areas of Olathe. Lee Summit can be good. Waldo, Brookside. Those areas where you can get good traffic. You go out to Gardner, you go out to any rural area, you may not, no pointer sign's gonna get you enough people, right? And you also have to say, how easy is it to get to that property? Like if it's in one of our big subdivisions in southern Johnson County that it takes 44 turns to get to it. Hey, nobody's gonna find you. This is the only time I don't mind a listing on a busy street is for an open house unless there's no parking. But a busy street can get you more attention, right? But there's some streets, there's not parking. So unless you're like right next to a side street, that might not be a good choice. So I want to look at the price range. I want to make sure the location is an area that people are eager to look at. Portions of Leawood are good, Overland Park. I mean, just think about and look at that home sale trend report so that you can be aware of where your target areas and price points should be. Because it's going to be different. If you look at Johnson County and what the highest price, the most amount of sales and what price point, it's going to be different than Jackson County. Because it's different inventory and different price points, right? Those are the things I'm looking for in my ideal open house. And then ideally, if I can get that early in the week, then I'm going to make sure I put together all my marketing materials and everything and start blasting the heck out of it. And then I'm going to go and knock on doors and invite the neighbors. And I'm going to do 30 to 50 doors because I have to drive traffic. If I just knock on 10 doors, better than nothing. Also, safety wise, if you are going to be there by yourself, I want the neighbors to know what's going on. Hey, I'm going to be holding the house open from 11 to 2. Come by, or I just want you to be aware there might be some increased traffic. But I'd love to have you come by because you got to see what your neighbors have done to this house. I'm tempting them. I used to, with my own listings, I used to do, it depended on the price point, but I used to do a special like 30 minutes prior to my open house opening to the public. I'd invite all the neighbors and I would share with them what's been going on in their neighborhood for the last 6 months or year. So I'd do like a mini CMA. I'd have like a 1-pager to hand to them. So I would say, come early and I'll share some information specific about your neighborhood and what's been going on that you might find of interest. And that's a time for me to, you know, talk with them. Any questions? Is this giving you some ideas? Yeah. Prepare and promote. We've talked about this something. Set your goals. What is your goal? How many people am I going to try to get into this open house and how many leads am I hoping to walk away with? What? My mouse. Sorry. Decide which house to hold open. Do you have a good idea now why you're going to be picky? Because otherwise you're just going for the luck factor. Create marketing plan for a great turnout. Ask AI what kind of messaging you should do. This is a price point. I'm looking for first-time home buyers. Think about in this house, who is my ideal buyer? Is this a move-up neighborhood? Or is this a first-time home buyer? Is this an empty nester neighborhood? Is this an investor? Remember, there are some properties that do not lend themselves to open houses. They don't. Some investment properties don't.
No.
They don't. They're probably not in the safest of areas, okay? So, and you're not, an investor's gonna, yeah, they don't come to open houses very often. Prepare to build relationships and practice scripts. If you don't know what to say to people, like I asked before, but I want to hear how do you greet people at an open house? Somebody share with me. Claire, how do you greet people at an open house? Is Claire still here?
I always have a little handout with all of the information for the open house on it when I go to greet somebody. But then my first question is always, are you from the neighborhood, or what brings you in today?
Perfect. I love that. Anybody else? How do you greet?
So I wasn't doing this in the beginning, but the last month or so I have started doing where people walk in, I introduce myself and I say, "Hey, I'm Amber. I'll be your host today." And then I ask for their name. But usually they will reply with their name when they're greeting back. If they don't, I'll be like, "I'm sorry, and you were, you know." And then I'll tell them to please go, "Hey, Tracy and John, go take a look at this house. Let me know if you have any questions. Go at your own pace." When they come back is when I try to have more conversations. Like I'll pick something about the house that I have like kind of liked, and then I'll be like, "Hey, Tracy, what did you think about this master closet?" And then have more of a conversation about what they're looking for, where they're from. So, because I feel like people mostly close up on me when they first walk in, and if I ask them questions, so this has worked out a little bit better for me. From my previous experience, I can say it's working out a little bit better to
I
have
love that.
conversations.
And that's why you all have to practice this and figure out what works best for you. Here's my favorite question. It was very similar to what Claire says. Edgar, nice to meet you. I'm Kristen. Do you live in the neighborhood or are you looking to buy a new home today?
Sort of around.
Just looking?
Yes.
Okay, looking to buy a new home?
Yeah.
Have you been looking very long?
No, I said the first one I would say.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this house. And then I'm going to send you off to explore and enjoy it. And then when you get back in the kitchen, I have a little information sheet. And actually it has some questions for you that the seller is so anxious to hear your feedback. They want to know what you think of this home. Would you be willing to fill that out after you're done touring? Oh, thank you. That would mean so much to them. They're really eager to hear what buyers think of their home. So this house is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And it has this amazing finished lower level, and you've got to check out the stage that they've built for their kiddos down there. So go enjoy, and any questions, come back to me. And don't forget, in the kitchen is that questionnaire to fill out.
Thank you.
The question I love so much is, to me, this is magic. Do you live in the neighborhood? Or are you looking to buy a new home today? Because that question told me what direction to go with you. Because I want to, if you live in the neighborhood, I'm going to have different conversation and questions for you than if you are looking for a new home. Notice my first question is, how long have you been looking? And then I'll ask, when they come back, so you said that you just started looking. Have you been looking online? What sites have you enjoyed looking online? And then what I'm trying to get to is I want to share my KW app with them. I said, Zillow. Well, okay. Zillow has a nice app, but you may not know this, but sometimes their data is not accurate, meaning they may say a house is still available and it's already under contract or maybe already sold. On my app that I'd love to share with you, it's actually going to tell you exactly what's available and not tease you with things that aren't, because that's the truth. Zillow lies. You will not like Zillow as an agent. It is not your friend. It is not your friend. And so I want to share that app. And then what I say to them is, I don't ask, so Edgar, I wouldn't ask you, can I have your cell phone number? I'd say, what's your cell phone number? Because most people will do that, but if you ask for permission, then that gives them a reason to think and hesitate. But if I ask, what is your cell phone number? I did that to you yesterday. We had a meeting yesterday talking about something, but I already had his cell phone number in my phone. I said, oh, I've got your phone. Let me share this app with you. Because I wanted Thomas to be able to try it out. Okay? Because it's more powerful for them to have my app than my business card. Because they will not lose my app. If they load it onto their phone, most people are not deleting apps every day, right? But a business card, who knows where it goes? So I want to make them feel comfortable. And the reason in my visitor information form that I have in my Power Tools, the reason I ask questions about the condition of the home is I found that most people want to give their opinions. And so for me, it worked really well. You're going to have to find out what works really well for you to get contact information from people. I'm not saying my way is the only way, because it's not. Some people do it all online. Some people have QR codes up in their open houses. I would have a little bit of everything. I'd have a QR code. I'd have an actual sign in. I've had several agents that they were the ones who would say, now, what is your phone number? And they wrote down all the contact information, because here's the other thing. Has this happened to anybody? You look at the sign-up sheet and you can't read their handwriting.
Yes.
Yes. And you don't know if that's a 5 or a 2. You don't know if that's an A or an O. And then you try to type in every version that it looks like. Yeah. And they all bounce back. Yeah. So here's what I did. So that's the reason some agents take down all the information themselves. Now, some of us, I don't know if I'm comfortable doing that. Here's what I was comfortable. After they finished doing this, signing in, then I'd say, oh, thank you so much. I just want to make sure. It's Edgar at 123.com. I always want to make sure I could read your writing before they left. And then just know some people are going to give you bogus information, and don't get mad. Just know it happens. They do. Some of you have probably given bogus information, just saying. So just know if you've done it, somebody else has done it. Okay. We talked about being safe. So can you see your activities before this open house are critical, and then the conversations that you have? I love, Amber, that you've been trying different techniques, because sometimes we've got to switch it up. Again, you're going to find what works best for you. That's why I want you to see what other agents do, because you might hear somebody say just exactly what and how you would want to say it. And you're like, that's brilliant. That's what I want. When I heard the script from Chris Suarez, who's an amazing Keller Williams agent, who he built his business on open houses. So Chris Suarez, and I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person and attending his open house class at Family Reunion. He got an ugly divorce on the East Coast, moved to the West Coast, had to restart his real estate business from scratch. And he said, what's the fastest, effective way when I know hardly anyone here to do that? He did open houses. He did them 5 days a week. Now, here's where I want to blow your mind. When some of you are thinking, but I don't want to do 5 in a weekend. Well, yeah, that would be kind of hard, even though I think sometimes Hannah did try to do that. So he did them at different times and different days. He looked at where the house was located, and I thought this was brilliant. Like, one of the houses were like across the street from an elementary school. Guess what time he scheduled that open house? Right after drop off, and he had coffee and donuts. Pick a place next to an office park, like Corporate Woods. Everybody know where Corporate Woods is in Overland Park? So Shenandoah Valley is right across, a huge subdivision right across. Most of those people leave their office for lunch. I'd do an open house during lunch. I'd have food. You see, you can take an opportunity and do an open house at any time if you do it right, to fit the neighborhood and fit the house and fit what kind of traffic you think you're gonna be able to get. So don't stay in the box that you can only do it on a Sunday from 11 to 2 or 11 to 1. Because you're not thinking big enough. Some people have done a happy hour. Now, make sure that the neighborhood lends itself to a happy hour. If it is a subdivision of really young families and all these little kids, they're not gonna stop for a cocktail. They gotta go home and cram food in their screaming little kids' mouths. Because they're hungry, right? And they've got homework and bath time and all of that. So that doesn't lend itself well to it.
Or one on Lee Boulevard.
Yes, I've got an older demographic there. Yeah, happy hour would be perfect there. Higher price point. You see, get creative. Think outside the box. One of the things I did is I had a PowerPoint on the home buying process. And I would have it on my laptop in slideshow mode, and it would be going the whole time. It'd be set up on the counter, along with the flyers and everything else. It'd be set up there. So people could see it, because it looked really professional and different. I'm all about how can I look different than the average agent. The other thing is, in your preparation, as we get down to the end here, I want to make certain that you're doing enough research. You've got to know, and you should, all of you, if you're not previewing that open house before you hold it open, shame on you. And you should also be previewing any other houses for sale in that neighborhood or immediate area, so that you know what that market looks like. You should be on MLS doing comps. You should know what's sold in that area, what the highest, what the lowest, how many days on market. You should also know what are some of the houses nearby at a lower price, because not everybody's going to be able to afford this house, because some will come off of the pointer signs. And then you need to know about any houses that are more expensive. So I used to always have those, just a list printed up of the higher and lower houses. And then I went and saw the other houses that were actively on the market. So I could speak with authority that I knew what was going on in that area, because you know what they're looking for. They want to work with somebody who knows what they're talking about, and they know the real estate in the area. And if all you know is about that house, and what's the percentage of people who are going to buy that house?
4, 4 to 5.
Yeah, less than 5%. You were not prepared to show your value to 95% of the people who came into your open house, because you didn't know what was going on in that area. You didn't know what was for sale. You didn't know about the houses higher and lower. Now, I only printed out like one list because I wanted a reason, because at first I made copies and would hand out the other houses available in the area. And I realized, oh, if I only have one, then I can send it to them and I get their contact information. Make sense? So I give them something of value, they'll give me their email address. Right? And then as we wrap up, go through the student guide. It's got additional meat to this topic. But the other thing is after. What do you do after? How quick do you all reach out to a lead after an open house? Same day. I will do it if I don't have anybody else coming in to my open house. I would literally, if I have their cell phone number or their email, I will email them or text them immediately and say, thanks so much for coming in. I will take one piece of information they gave me. If they said they're looking for a house with a gourmet kitchen, I say, I'll send you some other houses that might have the kitchen you're looking for. Now, I don't know if they're out there, but I'm going to look on MLS. And I'm going to look, even if I don't know their exact price point, I'm going to look in that same area, I'm gonna find some amazing kitchen, picture of a kitchen, the house for sale. I'm gonna say, is this the kind of kitchen you were thinking about? So I'm gonna go proactive and say, let me know if I can help. I gotta show value. I gotta show I have something that they might not have access to or knowledge of. Does that make sense? Give me a takeaway. Give me, somebody on Zoom, give me a takeaway, and somebody in person. Zoom first, give me a takeaway. There are a lot of you online.
I can add, I think for the open houses, I really like the idea of like being able to pair with someone else, like do like a team thing, and kind of understanding your open house a little bit better before going in, because I've done open houses where it's been crickets, and then I've done open houses where I couldn't even keep up with the number of people in the house. So it was a lot of fun, but it was also very overwhelming and probably missed out on a lot of good conversations. So it's always good to have another person with you that can make you can learn from them as well, and have their help in kind of keeping the crowd tamed, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Love that. Okay, here, takeaway.
I think, what I got from today is just be more strategic, get around.
Be more strategic, yes. Be purposeful and strategic.
So for like, seem like an elementary school, like they spend all the time. This is honestly.
Get creative. Just think outside the box. And then have a process before, during, after, and follow up. I won leads over because I was the fastest agent to follow up. Do not be under the illusion that they didn't go to other open houses and meet other nice agents. You got to also be the fastest. Make sense? Because if you're not, somebody else will beat you to the punch and they'll convert them and you'll be like, oh, but I thought we connected. Not if you're not fast enough. So, well, thanks. I know.
Nobody likes you. Come on.
Well, thanks for joining, everybody on Zoom. Thanks. Look at the homework in the guide. I want you doing the homework in the guide, okay? So there's homework on the last page for everybody. All right, see everybody later. Remember, if you're on Zoom, tune into the office Facebook page for the BrokerBot AI class. If you're here in person, stay. This is going to be a great class.
It will be on the Facebook Live.
Oh, it won't?
We're posting the link.
Okay, I misspoke. There'll be a link. You'll be able to watch it later. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.